Good morning and welcome to Caretaker's Corner, where we discuss everything that has to do with taking care of your elderly and disabled parents, disabled spouse, and adult disabled children. I'm CJ, and I'm here to help you on this journey. Now, we've been going through a series on grieving, and we have discussed stage 1, which is denial, and stage 2, which is anger. And today, we're going to discuss stage 3, which is bargaining. Now, bargaining is the stage that involves negotiating or making deals to postpone the inevitable. And it's a way in which we use to regain control and find hope in a seemingly hopeless situation. This is where we tend to go seek guidance from higher beings or different religious beliefs. And all religious beliefs, everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, but I'd say just about everybody starts seeking some sort of a guidance from a spiritual area about this time. This is where we go, oh, please, please, I will do anything if you can change this situation. Please, God, don't let them die. I will do anything. Please, 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 just change the diagnosis. Please, doctor, I will give you everything if you can fix my loved one. This is a normal part of the grieving process. I just want you to know. And it's usually one that doesn't last all that long. Some of the other process, I feel anyway, I could be wrong, but some of the other stages tend to last a lot longer. But it's a way in which we try to regain control in a situation that's uncontrollable, or that we feel is uncontrollable. When we feel powerless against a loved one's decline, we often try to negotiate and make deals to influence the outcome. It's the what if and if only stage. It usually involves promises either to a higher power or to oneself, promising to do better if only. Bargaining is a way to try to postpone the acceptance of loss, providing a temporary sense of hope and control. Hope is good. We need hope in our lives. The problem is, in this case, it can cause us to not follow processes that need to be done. I don't like this diagnosis, therefore I will do all sorts of research, or I will go to every doctor under the sun. I will get a second, and there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion, by the way. I'll get a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth opinion until I find somebody that will tell me what I want to hear. And in the process, either you or your loved ones going downhill and getting worse because you haven't accepted the situation and started seeking the help that actually needs to be helped. Now, there are some diagnoses that, while they are bad, are not terminal. So the sooner you start seeking the proper help, the sooner you can start fixing up a life that will be good for both you and your loved one. In Barbara's situation, her diagnosis is not terminal. Even though her disease is nicknamed the suicide disease, the disease itself is not terminal. And so we said we had to sit down and come up with processes and plans that we could both accept the situation and be able to move on with the life to make her the best life for both of us. We have a system now that works so that she has got her best life and I am able to have my best life. And together we have what I consider an awesome life. Is it the life we thought we were going to have? No. Is it the life that we have accepted and are enjoying and making the very best of? Yes. And that's what you have to remember when you're going through the grieving process over a diagnosis. Now, this is not considering if it's a terminal situation, but over a diagnosis that's going to require medicine, it's going to require medical equipment, it's going to require treatment. Bargaining is not going to help very much. You need to accept, come up with the options you need, and move on from there. Do not let any of these processes, especially when it comes to a diagnosis that is going to be long-term, do not let any of these processes stop you from seeking the help that you need from the medical professionals. Unfortunately, we can get analysis paralysis in any of these stages, because we want to research. We want to fix the problem. We want to say that they're wrong. And in the process, we stop doing what needs to be done. So we stop seeking their help. We stop getting help for them. We stop, getting them the treatments they need or the medicine they need, because we think we know better. And in the bargaining, like I said, it's a way to postpone. And the one thing we don't need to be postponing is anything medical. We not only postpone the medical, we try to postpone the acceptance of the loss. We postpone providing a temporary sense. By postponing, it provides us a temporary sense of hope and control, like I said. It can manifest as an intense focus on finding a solution. Like I said, analysis paralysis. You want to stay away from that. One might become fixated on researching treatments, therapies, or alternative medicines, seeking a way to reverse the situation. Now, I'm not saying don't research. Oh my gosh, please research. Stay off of WebMD. Nothing against WebMD, but ultimately, you could have a common cold or like hay fever, and you type it in and you're gonna die. I know it's a big joke for everybody. I think WebMD is a good source for stuff, but not for a diagnosis for a situation. It's why you go to a doctor and the professionals. It also, if they give you a diagnosis, by all means research it. Because there could be things that your doctor is not aware of that have come around in the last few years that could make a total difference. There is so much medical stuff that comes out every day, and doctors cannot possibly keep up with them. So, by all means, you can research, but don't stop seeking medical help because you think that what they told you was wrong. Don't stop seeking medical therapies and medicines because you just don't want to believe what they said. There comes a point where you just have to accept the situation. That is part of the grieving process, is ultimately getting to that acceptance. Like I said, bargaining is a normal part to help us understand a terrible emotional turmoil situation, to help us understand and deal with the helplessness and being overwhelmed. And if there's one thing that we are in a grieving process, is overwhelmed, whether it's because of a death or because of a diagnosis. You get hit in the gut all at once. Like when my dad died last year, I just talked to him that morning and checked on him, and he was fine and dandy. And when I checked on him later, he was not. And that was a little overwhelming at the time. And then when Barbara got her diagnosis, it was like getting hit in the gut, because we had plans for what we were going to do in the future and places we were going to go, and all that got put on hold, and some of it got canceled permanently. But like I said, the idea is to work through the process and be able to make new plans and new hopes and new dreams. Bargaining for a caretaker can be a bad spot. It can lead to self-sacrifice. Caregivers will neglect their own needs, health, and well-being in an attempt to fulfill on bargains. We will burn out. We will work ourselves to death. And I've been in that position. Where I look back and I'm like, dang, I am surprised I am still here, because that was some crazy crap. At one point, after Barbara got diagnosed, while her father was still alive, he was in the hospital, not doing well. I was working 12-hour shifts. I would come home, pick her and her sister up, take them to the hospital. I would sleep at the hospital and then leave the hospital and go back to work. And Robin and Melissa would pick them up from the hospital. And this was a daily thing for a while. I was living on cigarettes and energy drinks. By the way, I don't drink energy drinks anymore, and I quit smoking, so can't do that again. But to help her and to help Bill, I was willing to do that. And that's just it. There comes a point where we have to stop and go, hey, our health is important. We have to keep up with our health. And I eventually got to that point, but it was not a very easy place to get to. It was actually years before I got to the point where it's like, like I said, the airplane mask. If I was not putting the mask on me first. And once I did, I was able to do a much better job, I think, with Barb's caretaking, and with helping out with Dad. So you got to remember, you cannot work yourself to death in an attempt to fulfill any kind of a bargain. If I do more, maybe that'll make everything better. If I do more, maybe God will heal my partner. If I do more, there's only so much you can do, and you have to accept that. But that's part of the grieving process, is eventually getting to acceptance. So you got to remember that. Bargaining is normal, but becomes problematic if it leads to unrealistic expectations, financial strain, or emotional exhaustion. There comes a point where you have to go a spade's a spade. A lot of this, actually, this one really comes up more prominently with death, I think, where a loved one is brain dead, or they are completely gone, and it's the machines that are doing all the work. And you have to make that decision. I think that is really one of those decisions that it's hard to make, and you have to make that decision based on how you feel. Now, when it comes to just like a diagnosis, you have to look at how much are you willing to throw at money to keep going to doctors till you hear what you want to hear. How much are you willing to spend in false hope that you can find somebody that says that that's not the diagnosis? In Barbara's case, we were pretty sure of what the condition was before we got the diagnosis. The problem was being able to have the money to get her to the doctors, to find out, to get her to the correct doctors, for them to decide what actually was wrong with her. At the time, we didn't have Obamacare, so not everybody got medical at that point. And I worked really hard to be able to pay for those doctors. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. Bargaining often stems from a deep fear of loss and a desperate desire to alleviate suffering. When Barb's having one of her attacks, it is like getting stabbed in my heart. And I know that I'm not feeling pain anywhere near what she is, but it does take an emotional toll on me because I don't want to see her in pain. I don't want to see her in discomfort. I want to see her happy-go-lucky every second of the day. And there comes that point where we have to go, oh, that's not going to happen. And that's part of the grieving process, because it's not going to be happy-go-lucky every day. And we can't bargain that away. We can't throw money at it and hope that it just gets better. We have to get to the point where we understand it may not get better, no matter how much we throw at it, no matter how much research we do, no matter how much praying we do, no matter how much we're willing to give up. We just have to go, okay, spade's a spade. It is part of the grieving process. It's a normal part of the grieving process. And as I said, it helps us to eventually move on to acceptance and to find healthier ways of coping with our situations, our diagnoses, and how we feel. So when you're in this stage, the best thing I can suggest is to remember, take time to breathe. And as I always say, take your 15 minutes. Take time for yourself, whether that's for a walk, for a drive, to listen to music, to exercise. Take that time for yourself. And that will help put you in a much better mental and physical state. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment if you'd like on anything you'd like me to discuss, or on anything you feel I might have missed in this video. So yeah, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys next Sunday.